Been flipping through YouTube lately, and I've seen a lot of videos about vaping and people who get into cloud chasing, and everybody thinks, well, that's a pretty cool aspect to it, you know? I wanted to use a vapor pen to quit smoking, but, okay, I quit. What do I do with it now? Well, you can actually step down to your zero nicotine juices and everything if that's what you want to get into. But you don't have to spend a lot of money and buy some of the nice mods and stuff that some of the people have. I mean, you can get into mods and RBAs that are going to cost you well into the $300 and $400 range to get a whole setup for it. And I wanted to do a video about what you can do with just your basic iGo spinner battery. And the spinner batteries are cheap. Even if you started off with a starter kit, I think the starter kit comes with the 1300 battery. You can get them with a smaller battery. The 1300 milliamp hour starter kit, which is a variable voltage battery, a little spinner on the bottom of it, sitting at 4.8 right now. That's where I keep it. I got plenty of batteries, so don't worry about killing them. Battery, charger, first bottle of juice, and a basic clearomizer you can get out the door for like 65 bucks. Yes, you're going to get some clouds of vapor from it, but you're not going to get anywhere near what they're going to get with some of the nice mods. But extra 30 bucks, pick up an iGo L or similar RBA. It's a single coil, and they do actually extremely well on just this basic battery. I just built a basic coil on it. Micro coil, 28 gauge Kanthal wire, just cotton as a wick. 12 wraps, I think. It comes out to about 1.5 ohms, which the iGo handles extremely well. After extended sessions, the battery doesn't even get warm. The only heat you actually get is where your RBA is going to pick up the heat from the coil. Obviously, if that's hot, sooner or later this is going to start getting warm, but the battery itself is not actually heating up, which is great. But I wanted to demonstrate you can get some pretty decent clouds off of just an iGo battery. And sitting at 4.8. Not bad for an iGo. Just cheap battery. Why buy a huge nice mod if you can get stuff like that out of this? Anyway, running it at 4.8, you're going to kill your batteries fast. They're not going to last all day, but you're not going to really want it running like that all day anyway most of the time. Like I said, I have a couple batteries, so one of them dies on me. I just changed it out real quick. But even when it's turned all the way down to 3.3 volts, you can still get some pretty decent clouds out of it. Obviously the tip did not come with it. That was a little bit extra. It was just my nickel finish tip from some of my other RBAs. But this is a great setup for running around. If you drop it, you break it, not that big of an issue. I do also have a beauty ring on here that's a little bit extra as well. But for just the basic battery and RBA, if that's all you had on there, and if you just threw your plastic tip from one of your clearomizers on there, any 510 drip tip is going to fit on there. So, and there's literally hundreds of different tips. You can get swivel tips, you can get a marble, metal, plastic, glass. I don't know. I've seen so many different ones. It's not funny. I've literally seen tips that are like, this one is not really that big. maybe about an inch tall. I've seen ones literally that are going to come up to like here, which I don't quite see the purpose in, other than it's going to be a little cooler of a vapor because it's a lot farther away from the coil before it gets to you. But the iGo L does great. I definitely recommend if you've got an ego and you're wanting to get into building your own RBAs and stuff, drip a little more juice in here, to pick up a little iGo L RBA. Like I said, they are cheap. The biggest thing I recommend, drill out your breather hole on the side of it. When you first get it, I don't know how well you can see that. That hole is probably only about half of what it is on mine right now. I drilled it out with a 1/16 drill bit, which is the same exact bit I use when I wrap this coil. It's a 1/16 coil. It's going to give you a little bit more of a breathe through it. But if you're definitely wanting to get into RBAs and start learning how to build coils, definitely have a voltmeter too. You always want to know what ohms your coils are at. You don't want to wrap one and come up to like 0.4 of an ohm or something, because that is going to fry one of these batteries pretty fast. And if you go too high, this battery is not going to be able to fire it. On a micro coil like this, I think the highest you're going to be able to fire on is probably like a 2.2 or a 2.3 ohm. This is at 1.5 right now. Like I said, that's 28 gauge, 11 reps, or 12 maybe, around a 1/16 bit. I don't remember exactly how many I had. And just cotton wick. And the great thing about this is this cuts your price majorly. Even if you're not really wanting to get big into clouds, even if you just have a basic clear miser like the CE5 from Aspire, your new coils, which you're going to go through a coil every week or two, sooner or longer, depending on how often you vape, and the liquid you use is going to gunk up certain coils and stuff faster. A spool of the 28 gauge Kanthal wire is a couple bucks, and there's enough there to probably literally build over 100 coils. And a bag of cotton balls. I just use basic ones as long as you don't let it run dry. It really doesn't make a huge difference. I know a lot of people like using the organic cotton balls. They're a couple bucks extra, but you get a bag of cotton balls. There's like 100 in there. That's enough to build. Literally, I used half of a cotton ball to build this one, and there was quite a bit of extra cotton. Just unravel it flat. I don't know, I might post a tutorial on how to build this coil a little bit later. But it literally takes your initial battery. If you bought just the battery and a charger, we'll say probably 45 bucks, 50 bucks. The iGo L, I think, was 20. So it puts us at 60 bucks. And for the extra $10 for your coil of wire and a bag of cotton balls, we're still at 70 bucks. And that is literally enough to last you like 3 or 4 months straight, if not longer. I mean, this will probably put you almost a year, actually, to be honest. I don't know. I don't really rewrap my coils that often. I use pretty clean juice. But it beats having to buy a somewhere between $2 and $7 coil every couple weeks. On top of, the tanks aren't going to really last that long either. The iGo did come with a little bit of wire and a little bit of silica wick. I'm not a fan of the silica wick. Seems like every time I try to use it, it just frays when I'm trying to build my coil, and I get frustrated with it and throw it out and rewrap the coil and just put a cotton ball in there again. But it literally cuts down to just juice. So for everybody out there, try an RBA. See how you like it. Test around with your coils. Always, like I said, elbow mount. Make sure you're not touching any grounds. Do a little bit of research on it first before you get into it. But you can do some pretty nice stuff with just a cheap spinner battery. So with that, I will do a couple more clouds, and I will let y'all go. Apparently the AC system is blowing right my direction too. I'm actually kind of surprised I can actually get those rings to hold. Take it easy.